Please, please rise as you're willing and able for our hymn from the gray hymnal, number 38, Morning Has Broken. We bid you welcome. In this community of radical inclusion, we make space for what you believe and what you love. Your whole self is welcome here. In this community of open-hearted inclusion for all people, we do not expect you to think a certain way or restrict yourself to one set of beliefs. We only ask that you try to live a kindly, helpful life with the dignity proper to a human being. Welcome all who believe that religion is wider than any sect and deeper than any set of opinions. Welcome all who might find in our friendship strength and encouragement for daily living. We are so grateful you're here. My name's Beverly Church, and I'm your service leader today. My pronouns are she and her. Thank you for spending your Sunday morning with us, whether enjoying the service in person or online. Today, we're very fortunate to have a guest speaker, Sayed Mustafa. We will tell you more about him later in the service, and there will be an opportunity to ask questions with Sayed directly after today's service here in the meeting house. I'd like to extend a special welcome to any visitors today. After the service, we invite you to join us for coffee and conversation downstairs in our meeting hall. Please take a moment now to silence your phones, but we do encourage you to share your presence with us here today on social media. I have a few announcements. Today's Caring Sunday collection is for Palestine Children's Relief Fund. The Social Justice Committee will tell us more about this important organization later in the service. Do you like to read? Join others for a new quarterly book club discussion. We'll meet on Tuesday, March 4th from 7 to 9 p.m. in Adams Hall. The discussion will focus on the 2019 Pulitzer Prize winner in fiction, The Overstory by Richard Powers. Whether you've read it before or it's new to you, there's about a week and a half left to start or finish the book. Heads up, it's a long one. It's about 500 pages, but it's definitely a worthwhile read. If you don't finish, we'd still love to have you join the discussion. Our shoe fundraiser is in progress. Please bring in your gently worn shoes and leave them in the white bin in the front entrance vestibule. Also ask your friends and family to help. Sign up to volunteer at Forgotten Harvest with the Social Justice Committee on March 29th from 9 a.m. to noon. We'll be at the Forgotten Harvest Food Bank warehouse and hope to have 20 UUCF volunteers. In order to have a count of church members volunteering, please sign up with Joan McGlincy, who's in the back. She will email you the link to register with Forgotten Harvest and get detailed information about their rules and expectations to you. The membership committee is organizing a Cuisine in the Community event on March 29th. Socialize over a nice dinner and dessert with your fellow congregants. We're asking for volunteers to host a dinner at their house or organize a dinner separately at restaurants and then come together afterward in Adams Hall for dessert. If you're interested, please complete the form that was sent out in the e-blast. Finally, there are open leadership positions for the upcoming church year. We're looking for a Vice President of Administration, Sunday Services Committee Chair, and Building and Grounds Committee Chair. Contact the nominating committee at, it's nominating at uufarmington.org for more information. And remember to check the UUCF website or emails for other announcements about upcoming events. Our chalice lighting today comes to us from the Sufi poet Rumi, titled Elephant in the Dark. An elephant has been brought to be shown. No one here has ever seen an elephant. They bring it at night to a dark room. One by one, we go in the dark and come out, saying how we experience the animal. One of us happens to touch the trunk, a water pipe kind of creature. Another, the ear, a very strong, always moving back and forth fan animal. Another, the leg. I find it still, like a column on a temple. Another touches the curved back, a leathery throne. Another, the cleverest, feels the tusk, a rounded sword made of porcelain. He's proud of his description. Each of us touches one place and understands the whole in that way. The palm and the fingers feeling in the dark are how the senses explore the reality of the elephant. If each of us held a candle there and we went in together, we could see it. Please join me in reciting our UUCF mission statement, which can be found in your order of service. We seek answers everywhere, include everyone, live with compassion. Let's take a moment now to inhale deeply, then exhale. Feel the weight of your body in your seat as we experience our meditation titled, No, You Are Not Alone, and discover the way our voices rise by the Reverend Gretchen Haley. For this one moment, know only that you are loved, that you are safe and whole and loved. Know that you belong here, here among us, here upon this earth, in your body, however tired or broken your heart may be. Whatever fear, disappointment, anger you carry, for this hour, know you are not alone. Feel the presence of others surrounding you, breathing beside you and with you. discovering together the way our voices rise and fall together in harmony, in hope. Claim here a resilient freedom, the choice for love, for light, to live with joy and gratitude and praise as a form of resistance. A perfect heart is one that has known love and loss, joy and sorrow. The perfect heart is one that has been shared. As joys and sorrows of our community are shared, please direct your energy, prayers, and meditations as a gift of compassion and strength. You are welcome to Please remain seated for our meditation song. It is from the gray hymnal, from the teal hymnal, I'm sorry, number 1023, Building Bridges. We're going to sing it in a round. Linda will explain how we're going to do that.
We did this a few weeks ago, so you may remember. We're going to sing it together once, all the way through, and then we'll split into a round. This side will follow me and we'll start, and then Bev will pick up with this side and come in after, and then we'll sing it through twice as a round. Such
Our reading today is by Greta Crosby, a UU minister. Let us not wish away the winter. It is a season to itself, not simply the way to spring. When trees rest, growing no leaves, gathering no light, they let in sky and trace themselves delicately against dawns and sunsets. The clarity and brilliance of the winter sky delight. The loom of fog softens edges, lulls the eyes and ears of the quiet, awakens by risk the unquiet. A low, dark sky can snow, emblem of individuality, liberality, and aggregate power. Snow invites us to contemplation and to sport. Winter is a table set with ice and starlight. Winter dark tends to warm light, fire and candle. Winter cold to hugs and cuddles. Winter want to gifts and sharing. Winter danger to visions, plans, and common endeavoring, and the zest of narrow escapes. Winter tedium to merrymaking. Let us therefore praise winter, rich in beauty, challenge, and pregnant negativities. Now I'm happy to introduce our speaker for today. Sayed Mustafa is an attorney working for the Department of Defense since 2019. He's currently representing some detainees in Guantanamo Bay. Before 2019, he had an office in Southfield and was practicing criminal law, family law, and immigration law. He worked on several high-profile cases, including the Kubridi case in Detroit, the Amaui case in Ohio, the Jose Padilla cases in Florida, and the Christmas Day bomber case in Detroit. He gives lectures and presentations to Islamic centers and mosques across the U.S., educating attendees on what every Muslim should know about the law.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very honored and blessed to be here today. Since I came to the parking lot, I received a very warm welcome. Thank you so much, Denise. Thank you so much, Beverly. Thank you so much, Jess. Thank you so much, Diana, and I'm sorry if I missed anybody who welcomed me. I am here today to share some thoughts about the month of Ramadan and what do Muslims, I'm not coming here as an attorney, I'm coming here as a Muslim person who tries to be a better person, human being. And the first rule of the house today, for me at least, is none of your questions will offend me during the Q&A. So feel free to ask anything. You will never offend me, okay? Today, I'm gonna speak for about 20 minutes, and I'll try to make sure that I time myself so I don't go over time. I was born and raised in Egypt, and when we say 20 minutes, it could take 1 hour, so I'll try to stick to the script and not to go beyond the 20 minutes, inshallah, God willing, like we say. So I'm gonna recite some verses from the Quran in Arabic, and then I will say the meaning of the verses in English, and then I'll talk a little bit about Ramadan. What's Ramadan? What's the purpose of Ramadan? What do Muslims want to achieve? How can non-Muslims, including your church, help Muslims during Ramadan? And I loved the song, Building Bridges. And I was reading the script and I was able to say it with you even though I never said it before, but it's so beautiful. Love the music. Diana, thank you so much for everything, and it's beautiful. I felt I was in a therapy session, to be honest with you. So I'm gonna recite the Quran first in Arabic and the translation of the meaning of the verses. Just for your information, there are only 5 verses in the Quran which deal with Ramadan, the fasting, which could be either 29 or 30 days, and we'll explain that later on. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون أياما معدودات فمن كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية طعام مسكين فمن تطوع خيرا فهو خير له وأن تصوموا خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصم ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكملوا العدة ولتكبروا الله على ما هداكم ولعلكم تشكرون وإذا سألك عبادي عني فإني قريب أجيب دعوة الداع إذا دعان فليستجيبوا لي وليؤمنوا بي لعلهم يرشدون. Translation of these 4 verses from the largest chapter in the Quran, which is called the Cow. It says, "O you who believe, fasting has been prescribed for you as it was for those before you, so that you may attain righteousness or piety." Fasting is only a specific number of days. So if any of you is ill or traveling, then an equal number of other days. And it is better for you to fast if you only knew. The month of Ramadan is that in which the Quran was revealed as a guidance for mankind with clear proofs of guidance and criteria. So whoever among you witness a month, let him or her fast it. And if anyone is ill or traveling, let him or her fast an equal number of other days. Allah intends ease for you and does not intend hardship. And that you complete the period, the month, and glorify God or Allah for His guidance so that you may be grateful to Him. And when my servants ask you concerning me, indeed I am near. I respond to their supplication when they call upon me. So let them respond to me and believe in me that they may be guided. This is a translation of the meaning of the verses that I recited in Arabic, the 4 verses out of 5. And the Prophet of Islam, may God's peace be upon him and other prophets and messengers, he said Islam is built on 5 things. The first one is a declaration of faith, when a person says there is no God worthy of worship but Allah, one God, and Muhammad was his last messenger and prophet. That's number 1, declaration of faith, what we call in Arabic shahada. And the second thing is a prayer, 5 mandatory or obligatory prayers every day. And the third one is what we call zakah, paying charity, which is mandatory, 2.5% out of your income yearly. And then we have fasting Ramadan and pilgrimage to Mecca for those who can physically and financially afford to go and do that. And it's once in your lifetime, which is obligatory if you can physically and health-wise and financially. The second saying of the Prophet himself about Ramadan was, and there's many others, but for the time that we have, is when God said that every act of the son of Adam is for him, exclusively for him, and he or she will be rewarded for that act of worship, except fasting. It is done exclusively for me. It's the most private act of worship for Muslims. It's between you and your Lord, and nobody else see you, whether you're abstaining from food or drinks or whatever. So I will reward them when they meet with me on the day of judgment. So that's, so what's Ramadan? Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic lunar calendar, which is about 10 or 11 days shorter than the Gregorian calendar. So it's less. We go by sighting the moon, and if you are like before Ramadan, will start either Friday or most likely Saturday. So we have to sight the moon before we start the month of Ramadan. So it is, like I said, the 9th month of the Islamic lunar calendar, and we fast from dawn to sunset. No water, no food, no cigarettes, those who smoke, no physical, nothing. Just abstain from everything, and we'll come to the purpose of Ramadan. But this is just the beginning. So it's a spiritual renewal. That's what's the purpose. If you look at the verses that I was reciting, this concept of righteousness in Islam is very rampant. In the Quran, everything we do it to achieve piety, to achieve righteousness. In Arabic, the word is taqwa, to avoid that which will drive you to the hellfire. That, according to the scholars of Islam, that you should do whatever God instructed you or commanded you to do, the way the Prophet of Islam did it, and that will save you. That's the idea or concept of taqwa or salvation for Muslims, that every act we do it to get closer and to strengthen our relationship with Allah or God. And that's the best time of the year for a Muslim to strengthen not only their ties or relationship with Allah or God, but with communities, Muslims and non-Muslims alike. But for Muslims, there's a lot of acts of worship in Ramadan that they do it only in Ramadan. Of course, fasting is one of them, and we'll come to a little bit more about that later. So spiritual renewal, like I said before, and self-discipline and reflection. It teaches you patience. You have the food, you have the drinks right in front of you, but you abstain from them for the sake of God, because there are people who don't have anything in this world, who might be better than us, but they don't have it. So you feel in a way how they feel when they don't have it. You have it, but you can't touch it. If you touch it and you break your fast, there's a huge punishment for that. But I'm not talking about that punishment or a huge punishment, but I'm talking about the feeling of hunger, the feeling of thirst. And you have it, but you don't touch it. Others don't have it in the first place. So you feel how they feel when you have it, but you don't have it. You know what I mean? So that's something that we learn a lot. When we were kids in Egypt, like I said, I was born and raised in Egypt before, we would hide and eat, like when we were like 6, 7, 8, we would hide and eat, and they come back and say, we're fasting, when is the time to break our fast? And we know we're lying, but because he used to reward us and give us like surprises and all that, so we were after the surprise more than the fasting, as you can imagine that age. So we did that, but we didn't feel like real hunger and thirst. And now we hear a lot, millions of children all over the world, and adults as well, who don't have food or drinks. They can't even drink, clean water like we do, we take it for advantage. And when we tell our kids here, oh, these countries and they don't have food, eat this food because they said send the food to them. And I'm like, how can we send the food to them? So sometimes we take things for granted, but Ramadan teaches us patience. We have something in front of us, we cannot eat it or drink it. It's about compassion and charity. The Prophet of Islam was reported to have said that this is the best month for you to be forgiven, and the more you give, the more God will reward you and give you more. In Islam, we say, "Ma naqasa malun min sadaqah." Like when you give a charity, it increases your wealth and money. God will give you double, multiple times that, much more than what you give. So that's how we look at it. A daily routine during Ramadan is we have 2 meals, and sometimes people, unfortunately, Muslims I'm talking about now, they gain weight in Ramadan. It's not about losing weight or gaining weight. It's about patience, like I said before, self-discipline. You have something in front of you, you can't even touch it. And you teach your kids. Of course, kids don't fast until they reach the age of puberty. There are people who are exempted from fasting, obviously. If you look at the verses that I recited, the sick people, the elderly, the travelers, women who are, nursing or menstruating or, pregnant, they are exempted from fasting. And some of them have to make it up after Ramadan, and some of them, they don't have to make it up. But it depends on each case, and I'm not going into jurisprudence because it's very complicated already. So the 2 things that we do in Ramadan, before we start fasting at dawn, what we do is we eat what we call, it's a late supper kind of meal. We eat basically, because we'll be fasting the next day, the whole day. So we eat, some people, depending on their culture, like where I came from, we eat light things like yogurt, cheese, all these vegetables and sometimes fruits. For those who are coffee drinkers, they drink coffee or tea, whatever. And when it's time for the morning prayer, you have to stop eating. And you have to, and everything in Islam goes around the prayers. So we break fast at the morning prayer. We start fasting, and then we break our fast at what we call Maghrib Salah, or the sunset prayer. So it's all around, everything in Islam is around the prayers, which we have 5 prayers, as I said before. The first one is suhoor, or the late supper meal, and the one that we can't wait to eat is the one that at sunset, when we break our fast. Some people who are like coffee drinker, they drink coffee before they eat. Some they eat, and then we pray, and then we relax for an hour and a half, or about 2 hours, and then we go for the evening prayer, the last prayer. And in Ramadan, there is extra prayer that Muslims pray at night for, like I said, almost 2 hours. And that's the best part of Ramadan. That the Quran is about 30 parts. So every night, the imam or the person who knows the Quran, we call him Hafiz, or the one who memorized the whole Quran, they lead the congregation. One part is about 10 pages. So they do it like different units, like 20. Some mosques, they do it 20 units. Some, they do it like 8 units. But they finish one part of 30 parts of the Quran every night. So by the end of Ramadan, they finish reciting the whole Quran in the mosque. Sometimes people do it at home. The last 10 nights in Ramadan are very special, because Muslims believe, according to the statements of the Prophet, that there is a night, which we call it the night of power, or Laylatul Qadr, in which Muslims believe that this is the night where the Quran was revealed, one piece, to Prophet Muhammad. And then they celebrate that, and they stay worshiping God the whole night, that night. We don't know exactly what is the night, so the statement of the Prophet that the last 10 nights, try hard to do extra acts of worship so you can witness or observe that night. Why it's so important? Because like I said before, it is the night in which the Quran was revealed. Number two, the Quran says it's better than 1,000 months of worship. If you, as a Muslim, observe or witness that night, the reward is like worshiping God for 81 to 83 years. And not everybody lived that long, obviously. The Ramadan ends with a day, or like Christians, they celebrate Easter, Christmas, Jews, Rosh Hashanah, and all that, Yom Kippur, fasting and all that. Muslims had what we call Eid al-Fitr, or the day in which we break our fast and we finish the month of Ramadan. And they go to the mosque, they celebrate, wear like new clothes, they take their kids to, whatever, for fun, like different people take their kids somewhere, sometimes depending on the weather, obviously. They take them and they spend the whole day together, and then they exchange gifts and all that. So that's like a summary of the month of Ramadan and the routine, and people fast and they don't drink, and the exemptions, or the people are exempted from fasting for their health or age or whatever condition or age. Of course, like I said before, kids and elderly, they don't have to fast and they don't have to make it up. Now, the last thing that I'm going to conclude with is what can you do as a church for Muslims in the month of Ramadan? Like you did today, you invited someone who's not qualified to speak about Ramadan like myself, but to talk about Ramadan and to share thoughts and ideas. And this is our journey of faith and compassion together. We are God's creation and children, so we have more in common than what we think. And our worst enemy is ignorance, when we don't know. Muslims are terrorists more, and my profession as an attorney defending Muslims, national security cases / terrorism taught me a lot of things that I would never have learned otherwise. So don't assume or don't stereotype any group of people. I loved some of the signs that religion, one of them says religion is bigger than one sect. And Beverly mentioned beautifully and eloquently the same thing, idea of we are far and above any one sect or religion or denomination. We are human beings, and we are here to know the Quran says, O mankind, we have created you from male and female and made you into nations and tribes. So you may get to know each other. But remember, the best one of you, or ones of you in the eyes of God, is the one who are more pious and righteous. And that's the same concept of taqwa that I spoke about in the very beginning. God does not look at your faces and your bodies. God looks at your hearts and deeds. That's a statement of the Prophet himself. So what can we do? We can, at least you're doing it. We say, Alhamdulillah, thank God you're doing it. Acknowledge Ramadan. And those of you who are teachers, employees, they have students / teachers who are Muslims. So when it's Ramadan, they will be like, especially the first few days, we have no food, no water, no this, no this. Believe me, it's beautiful, but the first few days, I'm not talking about the month of February like now. It's cold and, we can fast. There is no problem. It will be like 12 hours. But usually we fast 17 hours. And can you imagine no food, no drinks, also, whatever. You can't eat or drink for 17 hours. So how would you feel? So bear this in mind when we deal with a student, Muslim coworker. So what you should do, at least acknowledge that they are fasting. This is their month of Ramadan. And of course, you understand, and this church is, I'm amazed at the warmth I was received by from everybody who they don't know me, they don't even know why I'm coming here for. So that's so beautiful that, and first impressions are everything, like we say. So, if you have some connections with a local mosque that you can tell them that they are more than welcome to come and talk about Ramadan, and if they want to share some thoughts about Ramadan, or they have people whom you know, like mutual friends and all that, that they should be aware of Ramadan. And if they have Muslim co-workers, like I said, or teachers or students, they have to be aware of Ramadan and what it means, and that people will be like low in everything, energy and everything. And it's a requirement, it's an obligation for Muslims unless you are exempted. You must fast. It's like prayers. Remember what I said, that Islam is built on 5 things. So and we do it, believe me, that Muslims, when you come at the end of Ramadan, they cry. Sister Afroza here in the audience, and almost every Muslim, even those who don't come to the mosque regularly, they come in Ramadan, and all mosques are packed. Sometimes they park like a mile away to be in the mosque praying, and a very spiritual time. And a lot of people even want to die during that month because they die where they are in the state of fasting, and the best time, the prime time for worshiping God. So if you die in that state, Muslims believe when you die in a state of obedience, you will be raised, or whatever state you are in, you will be raised the same way on the day of judgment when you meet your Lord. So I'd rather be, meeting with my Lord why I'm fasting on the day of judgment, because Muslims believe that fasting, like any other act of worship, will intercede for you before God on the day of judgment, and might be the reason for you, or the cause, to be admitted into heaven. So participate in acts of charity, which you have been doing. I looked at your website, amazing work you're doing. Thanks to everybody who was involved in that, like donating food to shelters or food banks. You have been doing that. Helping organize community meals for breaking the fast. We have communities like refugees who just came from overseas, from countries that have a lot of turmoil and civil unrest and all that. So there's some refugees in Hamtramck, there's in Dearborn. You can, like I said before, you can get in hold of one of the local mosques. Our MCM mosque might be one of them, to tell you about these refugees if you are interested to help them out. Maybe host or attend an interfaith iftar, and get in touch with the local mosque, and they can, help you out, either to attend, more than welcome to see what we do, how we break our fast, especially on the weekends. We have what we call collective iftar, or collective break and fast, because like people want to come and stay in the mosque and, share their stories about Ramadan and their experiences. Be mindful of scheduling events in Ramadan, because if you fast, like today, if you have coffee and I'm fasting, I can't even drink coffee. So, but thank God today is not fasting day. So I can have coffee with you if you want me to, or if I would love to. And Eid al-Fitr, like I said before, you're more than welcome to come and see us. Just let us know, let me or Sister Afroza here know about that you want to come and join us, Eid al-Fitr, or in the day to the holiday after Ramadan, or during Ramadan on a Saturday. This is a day that we eat, at the mosque. And if you want like a personal, individual invitation, I'll be more than happy to host you in my house for an iftar and explain to you. I have 3 daughters, 2 of them are teenagers, so God help me. So interfaith is very important. My advice to myself and everybody, because we learn from each other, and this is how we support each other as God's creation, like I said in the very beginning. I think my time is up, but I want to say something that I want to sincerely thank you so much for inviting me to share some thoughts and to learn from you, and I did learn few things. The best thing I learned today is that this is the oldest church in Farmington Hills. Thank you so much, Denise, for telling me that 1853. If not in Michigan, I'm not a historian, church historian, but I can tell you one of the oldest in Michigan. Farmington Hills, the oldest maybe in Michigan. I don't know. Don't quote me on this. Obviously, you're the expert. So thank you so much. It has been an honor for me to be with you and to share some thoughts about Ramadan. And thank you again.
Thank you so much. Now, Marie Lowry will give us more information about our Caring Sunday organization.
Morning, Marie Lowry, Social Justice. You should all have an envelope. Today's Caring Sunday is for the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. It is a grassroots, volunteer-led organization that does amazing work. Since 1991, they offer free medical care to children. Since 1991, they've sent over 2,000 children abroad for free medical care, sent thousands of international doctors and nurses to provide tens of thousands of children free medical care, and provided tens of thousands of children humanitarian aid and support they otherwise wouldn't have gotten. They've also established 2 pediatric cancer departments in Palestine, a new PICU, and a pediatric cardiology department in Ramallah, and other critical health infrastructure projects. So please, the bursars and ushers would like me to remind you how to use the envelopes. If you put a cash or a check in here, it goes to the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. If you put it just in the plate, it goes to the church. There's also a QR code on here for you young techie people. Just point your phone at this and you can make a contribution directly online. Thanks.
Please join me in reciting the offertory blessing that can be found in your order of service. To the work of creating beloved community within and beyond these walls, we dedicate ourselves and our offerings. Before we close, I want to remind you that there will be a Q&A directly after the postlude music. And I know that you mentioned in your talk that you can ask him anything, and he also emphasized that to me, that he's very open-minded, and you can ask him anything. Our closing words: may the light around us guide our footsteps and hold us fast to the best and most righteous that we seek. May the darkness around us nurture our dreams and give us rest, so that we may give ourselves to the work of our world. And let us seek to remember the wholeness of our lives, the weaving of light and shadow in this great and astonishing dance in which we move.
I'm here again, whether you like it or not. I'm just kidding. So any questions or comments or, yes, please.
You're talking about the value of interfaith communities and treating everyone well, regardless of their beliefs, and how you view that, and also your belief that you have a specific God that you look at and you say, this is how I believe he wants us to interact with them, how you kind of put those two things together and how you see value in others' beliefs as well.
Very good question. I was part of the interfaith groups before I got this job because since 2019 I travel a lot. Half of the month I'm not in Michigan, but I used to be part of the interfaith group, and we nourished our relationship and we built some trust with other community members and other communities, and we invited them to the mosque sometimes, and they come, and it was a very pleasant experience. And like I said before, we learn from each other, and I think that's the best way to build bridges, talking about the song, building bridges, and I think that's the best tool to build trust and relationship and strengthen our community ties with other communities. And this Islamic Center that we belong to, which is like maybe a mile away from here, literally, very open, and we can have sessions there with other communities. And I think this has a lot of value in the sense that it brings us together. We learn more about each other and how this end up being like our communities and our congregations understand each other better. And some of these meetings have resulted in friendship that I never thought of. And until today, I appreciate and value these relationships and friendships with those other communities that they're not even from Farmington Hills, let alone Farmington Hills. So I think that's the best tool to bring us together and make us understand each other better and be friends. We are like beyond friends. We should be beyond friends, brothers and sisters, like we said in the whole, in not just Farmington or Michigan, in the whole world. But of course, let's talk about Farmington Hills first. And I think that maybe I'll take this opportunity to connect this church to the mosque that I go to, and I think that should be the beginning, and then we'll see how it goes. Did I answer your question?
I guess I was more wondering personally, like on the faith belief side, like how you see that tying in with what you believe about God personally, and you say like, okay, like there's other value in other beliefs as well, but you see God in a specific way. How do you treat those other beliefs in terms of them having a belief that is different than your own, I guess?
Okay. We have differences, obviously. I don't want to say more than similarities, but I think we have a lot in common that we don't know that we have a lot in common. I'm not here to convert you, and I'm not here to be converted by you. So it's your choice, it's my choice. Okay. I chose to be this, you chose to be that, and we respect. So we have to set boundaries between our differences and our similarities. We bring closer the similarities, talk more about them, but we have differences that sometimes it's better to stay away from them. I have attended some meetings and there were some heated arguments, and of course it got us nowhere. So I think the more we agree on the things that we talk more and try to build and strengthen our relationship and our ties would be better than you're Muslim, you believe this, I don't want to say the words that you know what I'm talking about. So I think part of it depends on us and what our intention is. Our intention is to educate each other. That's fine in every religion, every sect, that they love to learn and share thoughts and we look at it as Muslims, what we call da'wah, or let others know about Islam, what they don't know. And in our hearts, first, I have to be honest with you, we want everybody to be Muslim on earth, but it doesn't mean that will happen, or we are better than we're not better than nobody. God is the only one who knows who's better and who's not. As a Muslim, I say that to you. Some Muslim scholars might differ with me. I'm not a scholar on that, but I can tell you this much, that this is my personal belief. I am no better than anybody in the world, but I can be a better person. I can make myself a better person. Doesn't necessarily have to be mean that I'm better than anybody else. So, did I closer to?
I had a question myself too. Very concerned about Guantanamo Bay and the use of El Salvador now as expanding this, prison facilities for people in the United States. Can you speak to some of the dangers that we face, going forward with this expansion of the use of those facilities?
Of course, I'm not gonna talk about classified information. I'll lose my job and my clearance as well. But what I can tell you is there's bad news and good news, and we all know the bad news when our government said that we're gonna send people who are out of a status or undocumented aliens to Guantanamo. That's bad, very bad news. 170 people mainly from Venezuela, if not solely from Venezuela, went to Guantanamo. And that's not classified information, obviously, it's all over the place. The good news, they have been deported or they traveled back to Venezuela a few days ago. We have, God bless her, Carol Rosenberg writes about everything about Guantanamo. If you search her, she has a website. She has a lot of books she wrote about Guantanamo. She's a journalist from New York Times, and she lives in Guantanamo. Every time we go there for hearings or to visit with our clients, she is there. and she knows more information about the cases than judges and lawyers alike. So she's an amazing resource. But there are only 15 people, including my client, who are in Guantanamo. 4 of them are ready to be resettled to another country, not their own country, their home country, but they don't know where to go. No country wants to take them. Some countries offer to take them, but they refused because they will be maybe put on trial.